All right, so yesterday, if you watched the video, I was trying to feed Bubba here, and he just wasn't taking it. And so I tried different strategies, blow drying, hot water, everything I always do. And he wasn't taking it. So I had to try something a little bit different. And so I thought I would share that with you guys, and maybe it could help you if you find yourself in a situation where your ball python isn't eating. So if you're interested to see how I was able to get my ball python Bubba here to eat, tap in. All right, so, typically I just dangle the rodent and he'll go for it. And I could tell he was hungry because when I was dangling the rodent, his head was out and he was definitely interested. So why was he having trouble eating it this time compared to what, 2 weeks ago or every time he's been eating? Because he's been eating consistently for me for the past 8-9 months. So we've been on a great roll. Yesterday was the first day I've seen him like that, where he was interested in eating. Clearly he was interested, he was hungry, but he wasn't striking and he wasn't going for it. And the rodent was heated up to, I want to say about, I ended up heating it to 98 degrees, right? So it was pretty hot even at that point. Like I said, he was interested, but he wasn't going for a strike, right? I'll show you guys in the footage now, just kind of what that looked like. All right, cool. So you pretty much just saw probably what you're going through right now if your ball python isn't eating, right? Or maybe you've experienced this before and you would just kind of toss out the rat. So what I did that was a little bit different this time. I had to put the camera down because it was a little too hard, shooting and also trying to do that, because I felt, it was distracting the process, if you will. So, I put my camera down, but what I did off camera, that's what I'm really trying to explain today, was I went and I reheated it again. So I put it in a little Tupperware and I just blow dried it, right? So I blow dried it, got the temperature back up to that 98, 99 rough range roughly. And at that point I realized Bubba, my ball python, had gone into his cooler side. So now that he was in the cooler side, I felt a lot more comfortable to just put the rodent inside of his hide with him. So I literally just put the rodent on top of him, right? So he was kind of in a ball, right? And then I was trying to feed him again. He wasn't going for it, and he was kind of putting his head and hiding his head, right? I'm sure you've seen that before. And what I ended up doing was I just left the rodent pretty much on top of him, and you can kind of see the tail sticking out of the hide a little bit. And what I did was I left him alone for about a couple hours. And I checked, I want to say roughly about 3.5-4 hours later, and it was gone. So he ate it. And I didn't have to wait overnight or anything like that, and so it was pretty, like I said, it's a couple hours leaving him alone, and he ate it. And so it reminds me of a technique that I learned from a couple breeders, and that's what you can also do is you could put them in a bag, like a brown paper bag. You put them with the heated rodent in the bag, and they typically will eat, and that's just because of territorial, instincts, something like that, I was told. And so that kind of made sense yesterday when I put the rodent in the hide with him, right? And so another thing too to think about, and I didn't think about this until I started doing deeper research when I was having issues months ago with Bubba here with eating. And that's like whenever you're giving them a rodent, and let's say if you're feeding them and they're in the hot side, right? They're on their hot side. You have to make sure typically you have to make sure that the rodent is heated up higher than the hot side. Otherwise, if the rodent is cooler, if the temperature of the rodent is less than the hot side, so say the hot side is 90 degrees, right? And let's say the rodent is at 75, 80 degrees, right? The snake is not, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be hard for it to see it as a meal because the temperature is just so much lower than the temperature that he's in. So it may not be as interested. So just keep that in mind. If you're feeding him the hot side versus cold side, that's something to kind of think about. And so, yeah, like I said, he ate successfully. Like I said, left him alone. But some questions as to like, why this time? Why did he do that this time, right? And so my theory behind that is, I believe because I was feeding my other snakes that day, yesterday, I fed all my snakes actually. And 3 of them eat mice, right? He's the only one on rats because he's the largest snake I have right now. Also the oldest. And so, I believe he smelled mice or he smelled mouse, right? And that's what he wanted. He didn't want rat. And so I think that's honestly what happened. And so a lesson for me is in the future, if I'm ever feeding him or if it's a feeding day for him, I need to either feed him first or just make sure there's no scent of mouse. And I feel like that would save me from experiencing like the footage you guys saw earlier, right? Him not striking the mill, which he always does. And he was definitely hungry because you could see him come up. With that being said, these are just some tools you can do or think about, if your ball python is having issues, right? So like I said, just leave them alone with the rodent in the tank. I wouldn't, me personally, I don't know, there's a lot of different people have different, ideas on, or how you say it? A lot of people have different ideas as to what or how long a rodent, like a dead rodent, should be in an enclosure. Me personally, I wouldn't leave it in for longer than 12 hours. That's just me. Is that an arbitrary number? I don't know, but 12 hours is the most I personally would leave like a thawed out rodent in one of their enclosures. I could be wrong on that one, but I just felt 12 hours is like the max, but anyways, like I said, I only left it in there for like 3 hours roughly. And, I came back to check, it was gone. So, just keep that in mind. Maybe feeding, make sure you're not feeding a different rodent the same day you're feeding your ball python. And I think that's literally what the issue was, honestly. And yeah, so what do you guys think? Do you guys think that, it was the mice that made, Bubba not want to eat that day or eat, with the tongs, which is what he always does? What do you guys think? I want to know. So in the comments below, like, how do you guys feel? Like, maybe your ball python has had an issue or a very similar issue to this. Like, I want to know. Let's talk about it. So that does it, fam. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. It's really cool to kind of build this community with you guys. Obviously, this channel can't succeed without you guys. So, I really want to thank you guys for your support. And yeah, and make sure you subscribe. Definitely, you can kind of grow with us. And I say us like my snakes. And obviously my collection is definitely gonna grow. This is just the beginning. I plan on having like a ton of snakes in the future. So there's a lot of things to look forward to, and it's really cool to kind of grow all together, right? And so anyways, that's it, fam. If you have any questions, once again, drop them in the comments and I'd be glad to help you out. Because I know ball pythons can be tricky. You just gotta hang in there and kind of like, I feel it's like mixing and matching like different things. And so that's why I feel community is so important, and that's why we can share our experiences and we can help each other out, right? So that does it. Thanks again. Blkhippiee out. Much love. Peace.